Good morning, my name is Carl Spencer and I'll be hosting this supply chain management webinar today. Your screen's going to change shortly in order to maximise the benefit of the slides I'm going to show. So let's get straight into it. Who counts as a contractor? So according to the Health and Safety Executive, a contractor is anyone who carries out work for you on a one-off, occasional or regular basis and without being an employee. Quite important. But also, if a person is technically self-employed and working for you, they still need to be treated as your employee under health and safety purposes. So anybody you've got coming to your site, your premises, your offices, who are not an employee and they're doing some form of work, then that is what counts as a contractor. And there's a legal obligation to manage contractors. There's a legal obligation to ensure that that contractor, that person, understands the hazards of the job they're coming to do, the project that they're involved in, the areas of your site. They also need to understand the site rules. So what rules you have in place. That could be speed limits driving around site, smoking, non-smoking. There could be hazardous areas. They've got to know not to go into them. There's an extensive amount of things that they need to know about the site rules that you apply. Also, you need to ensure they're equipped with the correct PPE. So if they need some specialised personal protective equipment for the project, you need to ensure that they've got it with them and they are using it. And if they haven't, to ensure they don't do the work, to halt the work, to stop the work. And lastly, any specific equipment that they need. You've got a legal obligation to ensure that they have that equipment, not only to you to use it or supply it, but to ensure they've got it and they're using it. And again, if they haven't, that they don't proceed with the task any further until they've got that equipment in place. So the legal obligation, there's many more there. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's a good 4 key points that if you've got a contractor working on your site, ensure that you've done that and that they fully understand everything. So there is some guidance around this. There's a document called the HSG 159 for managing contractors, the HSE publication. And you can see the web link there for you to download a copy, a free web-friendly version. And the document includes everything that you really need to know about managing a contractor, or as far as the health and safety executive is concerned for managing a contractor. So again, go on and please download that. And also there's another piece of guidance using contractors. So again, a free to download document, and this is more about using the contractor and doing the ongoing measurement and monitoring with a contractor. Again, both documents are on the Health and Safety Executive website, HSG 159 for managing contractors, or this document here, IND 368 for the use of contractors. The HSG 159 document contains a really good quiz, so you can actually take that quiz today and see how good you're managing your contractors. We have got an electronic version on our supply chain management page, so please check it out at yoursafetypod.com. That might be where you found this webinar anyway. So please download them documents and take a good read of them and pass it out throughout your organisation. Now, there is another piece of legislation, which is the ultimate, the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. And that's the piece of legislation that we need to adhere to. And we're going to look at Section 3. And Section 3 is, as you assume, is for managing contractors. And Section 3 is the general duties of employees and self-employed persons to people other than their employees. And Section 3.1, as we will see shortly in a couple of the actions that we're going to show, the couple of prosecutions, that Section 3.1 states it shall be the duty of every employer to conduct his undertaking in such a way to ensure, so far as is reasonably practicable, that persons not in his employment, who may be affected or not, hereby exposed to risks of health and safety. So that's the piece of legislation that we need to adhere to when using and managing contractors. Now, how are we doing it today? How are you managing your supply chain, your individual contractors today? Well, you could maybe using the pre-qualification questionnaires, PQQs abbreviated. Very, very common in the construction industry and many other industries. Also, you may be using one of the 27 different SSRPs, the government-backed safety scheme. And you can see there from the 27 logos that you might recognize driving around on builders' vans, or even on the policies that you might be getting from your supply chain. You might even be asking them questions in your pre-qualification questionnaires. And it's really important to understand what an SSRP is. The government-backed scheme, what is it there for? So it was created to streamline pre-qualification and encourage straightforward mutual recognition between its member schemes, emphasizing on the pre-qualification. An SSRP means safety scheme in procurement. And procurement meaning it's a process of finding, agreeing terms, and acquiring goods, services, or works from any external source. There's no mention here of managing health and safety. There's no mention here of ensuring the contractor's doing everything so far as reasonably practicable. There's no mention here of checking workers' competence, ensuring that they understand the hazards. So it's important for you guys to realise that an SSRP is pre-qualification and is all based about procurement. And it's not a recognised to prove compliance. An SSRP is not a recognised scheme that will prove your compliance to the Health and Safety at Work Act. SSRPs are not mentioned in HSG 159 or IND 368 as if you have one of the 27 SSRPs, then you are compliant with the Health and Safety at Work Act. It does not exist, and it is an untrue statement if you hear that. So SSRPs will not guarantee your compliance to the Health and Safety at Work Act. The HSE prosecuted over 400 companies in 2016-2017, and emphasising on people with SSRPs in operation that 83.3% of the companies successfully prosecuted, had one or more affiliation or accreditation with some form of scheme. So although they've got affiliation, accreditation, they still was prosecuted because the schemes are there in procurement phase, in pre-qualification. So building your health and safety file 7 on the shelf, you might have a survey with all the details on, but it's not actioning actual health and safety on the site with the worker. So it's important that you talk to your SSRP if you are using it, or you improve your pre-qualifying questionnaires to actually do the monitoring and measuring of this contractor when they are working on your site, checking competency and performance. Hugely important because, again, 83.3% of the companies prosecuted was using one or more affiliation or accreditation. Now, we're going to look at a couple of prosecutions, and on this one that was in November from the HSE, the HSE successfully prosecuted all 3 companies after a security guard was killed. So a bit of a background, Immingham Docks on the East Coast, a HGV goods lorry pulled in to decant or collect goods, handed over his paperwork to the people in place, and he was flagged through to continue. And as he continued through, he actually ran over a security guard he didn't see because of the height of the wagon. He couldn't see the guard and actually ran over it, and that resulted in a fatality. Now, when the HSE came in to investigate this accident, they went straight to the top, straight to the very, very top, which was the British ports. And they asked the British ports, what did you do to prevent, so far as reasonably practicable, the harm of your contractors? And obviously, they couldn't prove that they did everything practically possible and were subsequently prosecuted under Section 3(1), which we've previously seen, and was fined £750,000. The HSE didn't stop there. The HSE then went down to the next tier and went down to the haulage company and said, what did you do to ensure that you was complying with the Health and Safety at Work Act, to ensure that you was doing so far as is reasonably practicable for your employees and your contractors? Again, that company failed to prove adequate compliance, and they was prosecuted under section 2.1 and 3.1 and fined 166,000. But the HSE didn't stop there. They went down to the actual security company and said, what did you do to prevent harm? What measures did you put in place to ensure that guard could not walk out in front of manoeuvring vehicles? Did you put fixed barriers in place? Was there adequate signage? What training was in place? And obviously, they failed to comply because it wasn't adequate enough what they put in place. And they was prosecuted under section 2, prosecuted 500,000. So from one incident, one very, very severe incident, 3 companies totaled fines in excess of 1.4 million. So it's important that we do manage our contractors. If it's not just to ensure that they prevented harm and we're reducing accident rates, but prevent prosecution and fines. So we're just going to want to look at another one. Another accident. And this one you might relate to a little bit more. So this was a roofing contractor who was prosecuted for carrying out unsafe work on a roof. So a passerby took a photo, whistleblowed it, sent it to the HSE. The HSE came out and investigated and found that this company and its subcontractor was working unsafe, without suitable measures in place to prevent falls from height. Now it's important to pick out here that nobody was injured, because please note that the HSE will still prosecute if nobody's been hurt. And that was an element of the sentencing guidelines introduced in February 2016. So all prosecutions are based on risk, not harm. So if something could have gone wrong, you have the potential to be prosecuted. And this was very simple. The investigator by the HSE found that the company had failed to ensure that the contractor, the subcontractor, had a properly planned safe system of work in place and was subsequently prosecuted for that. Again, no harm, but a prosecution nonetheless. So how can SafetyPal help with your supply chain? Well, SafetyPal not only works with you at pre-qualification stages, but also every stage of that contractor through from beginning to end. And that's part of the measuring and monitoring that you need to do, as the regulations state, as you download HSG 159. And also, it's about sharing information. All your policies and procedures, SOPs, codes of practices, they're not just there for your employees, they should be shared and collated with your contractor, with your supply chain. And all the operations on the site should be shared. Any information you have about accidents, near misses, positive intervention should be shared with the contractor working in that facility. So it's really important that we do all elements. We plan, act, and learn. So SafetyPal will coordinate the jobs more effectively, bringing everyone into one place. We can ensure that a contractor has read and understood risk assessments and any other documents associated with the project, with the task in hand. We can also provide data metrics to ensure not only have they written this down in their pre-qualifying questionnaires, but they're actually doing that, we're acting on it. And how many near misses or spot checks they've done. Is their insurance valid and in date? How many workers they have, how many workers' hours have they put in place? That's all data metrics that you can grab on your contractor from SafetyPal. And that in turn reduces management time, which is a great benefit for any company. And ultimately, the very last one is you can actually prove competency. You can check their certificates simply and easily before they arrive on site, or the very worst case, before they start work. So if you want to know more about it, please log on book your demonstration. There's a button there, just click on 20-minute demonstration. So we're nearing the end of the webinar now, so you have a choice. So from the information you've seen today, we can continue with pre-qualifying questionnaires, safe systems in procurement, or indeed, like the roofer, nothing at all, and remain at risk. Or what you can do is go forward and make sure that every contractor is monitored, measured, and coordinated to make you a smarter company, a safer company, and a more compliant company. So thank you very much for your time. Again, please, if you want to, log on and look at booking a demonstration, 20 minutes, and we can see how that would help your business. But also, please take a look out for other webinars on yoursafetyval.com/webinars. Thank you very much for your time. Take care. Goodbye.